My name is Eric K. Thomas here with the Quintessential Gentleman, and today we have Clarence Stewart. Listen, they got to put the Clarence in there. It's everything. I see. Just is it only John Stewart because you can? That's all you can fit on there. They block you out.
Nah, it's only John Stewart because yes. They were like, excuse me, sir. Two names, sir. Two names.
Yeah, that's all you get. Perfect, perfect. How you doing today? How you feeling?
I feel good, man. I feel good. I feel really grateful, man. Yeah, I have a lot to be grateful for, my dude. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome.
How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, man. The last time we spoke was What If aired, and that was the last time. And that's almost 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How
If
you
not more, it's
been?
probably more.
It probably has to be. Well, since you filmed it and then it coming out,
Yeah,
interview.
yeah, yeah,
So you know how
yeah,
that timetable goes. But
yeah.
how you been since then?
Oh man, I mean, how any of us been? The world turned upside down, inside out. I mean, you know, I worked on a show with What If and played a character that I really enjoyed, and got to work with Jane Levy on Zoeys, and uh, you know, one of the biggest things is um, working on Zoeys has been a very personal thing for me because the reason I auditioned for it was to connect with my dad, and
Wow.
yeah, and he passed when I was 19, so I figured when I read the script and I knew that I was auditioning for Simon, it's a black man that lost his father. That's the reason that I auditioned for the show,
Right.
and to like move through grief, and it's evolved and it's grown and it's become so much more than I could have expected, and I'm really grateful.
Awesome, awesome. So everybody that don't know, we're now on season 2 of Zoe's Extraordinary playlist, and we're talking to Simon, which is what John Stewart plays his character, and he's the director of PR or PR for Spark Point, kind of right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now he is. Yeah, yeah.
Worked his way up. So awesome, awesome. So I mean, honestly, the last episode, the mid-season finale episode on February 9th was huge, I would say, in particular to the conversations that we have on our platform.
Mm,
But just black men and just really culturally, it was really significant, as a lot of the conversations have been recently. But I really wanted to know from just holistically, how did it feel to be able to film that type of narrative and to have those type of conversations before we get too deep into the nitty gritty?
well, I mean, this might be a segue into the nitty gritty, right? Because in order to film it, in order to tell the narrative and have the conversations, it was labor. It was a lot of work, man. It was like a personal work, you know, spiritual work. That's just what I believe and how I approach my work. It's that as well. It's also work with people that I am collaborating with on the show, and it's a lot of trust. It's a lot of uncomfortable conversations, and fortunately, we have a team of people that was willing and open to having certain conversations. But it was labor. And I think it's a new, like this whole idea of something being a labor of love,
Right, right,
like that idea. I think sometimes we get caught up in the love part
right.
and we divorce the labor part. And it was hard. But I'll say that it was incredibly rewarding in the end. Like the goal for me as a black man in the world, having heard about this project, this episode specifically back in like late June, early July, my big thing was how do we not do damage with the story? How do we not hurt my community with the story? How do we tell the truth? You know, and wanting to be a part of everything for a long time, having conversations with Zora Gaga, our writer, and with Austin Winsberg, our showrunner, and with Mandy Moore and Luther Brown, choreographer, and Anya Adams, the director, and with the intention of like getting specific, the intention of just mining the truth.
Right.
And for me, that meant like pulling from myself in a really significant way. Yeah,
So we talk about the labor and the work that you put into it before you even got to set, and you read the script. What even was there any conversation? I believe there was conversations before you got there about how this, like, you, I feel like you were real instrumental in making sure the conversation was being had. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
absolutely, man. It's something that I haven't always experienced at work, and as an actor in TV shows. Sometimes you go and your job is to birth the thing, and that doesn't necessarily always include conversations with the showrunner, conversations with the writers. Um, Sometimes it's a little less actively collaborative from the jump. But with this particular episode, Austin Winsberg reached out to me and started a conversation with me. It's like 3 or 4 weeks after George Floyd had passed and was killed, and I had a lot of reservations about doing the episode, um, and I made sure to articulate that.
Mhm.
And he listened to that, he heard them, and he opened the door to communicating and to collaborating. And so we started there. And then he connected me and Zoey Gaga, a writer on the episode, brilliant, brilliant brother. And we had a few very long conversations about what it's like to be in the world, being Black men in white spaces. What is that experience like? Being Black men with white friends. What's that experience like? What's been that experience now specifically? What are we moving through? And then all of that kind of found its way into Simon and into what you see on the screen. Some of the specific conversations that Zora and I had, some of the language from that found its way into the actual script. So like I it was very collaborative and very uh intersectional in a lot of ways. And the experience of me in the world and Zora's experience in the world. And I'm really grateful for that because that's not always the case, you know. Um, And so I knew kind of what the episode was going to look like shape wise before I read it. And then when I read it, I was like, all right, here we go. And from the songs, which um, uh, I'm the fact that we had all Black artists that we got to, whose music we got to use to tap into the soul space of these characters was like just beautiful. And that Luther Brown came in to choreograph was incredible as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And so, just to kind of give background for everybody, so this particular episode, it talks about, it deals with the Spark Point, having a facial recognition software, that is having an issue recognizing people of color. And, that's a tech issue, but the conversation goes to, oh, it's not a typical technical glitch. You go on to say, now this is a problem, within the company. When I saw that, I wondered how many companies should take more ownership, um, of their responsibility, or kind of just saying, kind of flat out, we have a problem, diversity issues, or whatever the case may be, upper management. I wonder how many people took your route. How many people were like Simon and said, or what the world would look like if there were more Simons in the world. What was your thought process?
I mean, here's the thing. I think that the show that we have, this story specifically, is aspiration, right? Because the truth is that there are Simons out there, if we want to use that language.
Yep.
There are people out there who speak up inside of corporations and in entities, um, with uh, spaces that are majority white and people in power. There are people of color of all different, gender representations, ethnicities, etc., who speak out. And a lot of times, meet, they a lot of times get met with, you know, a firm hammer. They get a lot of times get met with, don't get met with uh, being heard. I think that's also, you have a lot of companies that you have these NDAs that people have signed that require silence upon them leaving, and so there's inside of the systems in the workplace, there are people who have done the thing that Simon's doing. And I think this is aspirational because not only is Simon doing this, it's what does it look like for a company to listen? What does it look like for these white people to learn how to leverage the spaces that they're in, and how to get out of the way and allow Black people into those spaces and then be challenged and have them actually make a change. Um, that also said, it's not like there's a silver bullet and they solved everything. But like what Mo says in the end of the episode, it's important to celebrate the wins, even the small wins. So to that question, I think that uh, what would the world look like if there were more Simons? I think we're seeing what the world looks like when there are Simons. They get met with a lot of with the company, but with the show that we have and what we tried to say, I think we see what could happen. What it could look like if, when these people speak up, uh, if they're heard, if a company doesn't try to silence them, um, but instead listens and then holds space for, and then decides to make inclusion a fundamental part of who they are, and equity a fundamental part of who they are. You're talking about the restructuring of organizations. You know what I'm saying? Which is not a small task. I think there's a reason why a lot of organizations and systems remain the way they are. Most of the changes are, cosmetic changes, which is what SparkPoint tried to do with Simon. And this change is a cosmetic change, and you have the Black face, and hopefully that is a benevolent Black face who won't betray you, you know. But yeah, that's, I think that it's such an act of courage to um, to take up all this space that you require wherever you are. Yeah.
And it's so interesting because when I heard you sing "Black Man in a White World" by Michael Kiwanuka, excuse me, it kind of felt like, especially at this time, and it's kind of like this cultural, um, I'll say a shift, but even a shift in the content that's being produced and things out there. For instance, I heard it, saw you talk about Black Man in a White World. Then, you have Judas and the Black Messiah. Then you have, Regina King's One Night in Miami. You have the United States versus Billie Holiday. And what it is showing me is just, again, your aspiration, the hope, and the idea that we're living in our truth about what this world really is, what America really is, the United States really is. And I wonder for you, what was it like? You're playing this role, but then also to sing that song, to perform that song on NBC, on a network, like the stuff that is unheard of. Is really something that I really say revolutionize.
Yeah. I just, in a huge way, my thing is, I'm just happy to have been in the space that I'm in, to be a part of the team that has like been able to do that. It's a really humbling thing to be a part of that. And for me specifically, when I heard Black Men in the White World, I felt like seen. I felt seen. And when I was working on choreography with Luther and Mandy, you know, there were so many conversations that we had leading up to it about what it's like for me as a Black man in white spaces, what parts I feel like are safe and not safe in those spaces. How do I show up whole? Like, what does that look like? And a lot of that, like, Luther was bringing that into the space in the choreography. These white bodies who are the embodiment of, you know, a forest or like treacherous terrain that I, a Black person, have to move through really specifically. being affected by, and then learning how to move through it and then breaking free from it. It was a very spiritual thing, man. And I remember on the day shooting it, feeling like I just wanted to connect to ancestry, and I just wanted to get out of the way. Like I wanted to do all the work that I can do, then to let the instrument do the thing it needs to do to tell the story, and just trust it. And I feel like, you know, I honestly don't remember all of the different things that happened take to take.
Right.
I know that all of the takes that we did were different in some kind of way, um, because I was just living inside of it. And that's the work, you know what I'm saying? So I feel humbled. I feel grateful to be a part of it. It's still landing on me that it's not something that's been done in this way on like a network television show, given like with music in this way specifically. It's still landing on me, honestly, bro. Um, but when I when you list out the litany of Black art that is coming to the forefront and that is leading the conversation right now, um, one, humbled that this song is even a part of the conversation, but two, it there's something you said that lands on me. It's this idea that we are talking to where we actually are, and it takes a Black voice, it takes a voice of the perspective that is there to speak to the truth there. Like it takes that, and it also takes a courage. It also takes it's a cost, you know. um, and these artists who are telling these stories, be it One Night in Miami, Judas and the Black Messiah, United States of Billie Holiday, um, Minari, like these different artists who are telling these stories, it costs, but it's that thing that breeds what I think is it's a like a sober hope, like a hope that is not, you know, that's not pure idealism, but we have to accept everything that has been. We have to accept everything that we are in order to take a really decisive step forward. And I think a lot of times, you know, the narrative goes, we just people want to take a step forward and they just want to forget,
Yeah.
or they want to willfully forget, or uh, or tell a story of the Black experience without Black voices in the space, which is really just saying, you know, stop looking back there, keep looking forward. But it takes our stories and our narratives, it takes our art to alchemize everything that has happened so that we can like forge something new. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I mean, well, first and foremost, you deserve to be in those conversations. This opportunity, the things that you've done, your art has really, you know, added to these conversations. It really has shown, you know, there's not too many um, scripts like this one where you do get that corporate America feel with that, you know, people of color aspect, perspective, you know.
Hmm.
So please, kudos to yourself for definitely doing what needs to be
Uh,
done. Performing art is definitely amazing. And also, I guess I want to know what your thoughts are on code switching,
hmm,
because I feel like that's something that I don't really feel as though you know, Simon does it too much in the show, but I can see how it could be uh, something in the back of his mind, or just making sure that you say, you know, you're saying the right things, or you know, not really, or kind of dealing with that imposter syndrome. But what is your thoughts about code switching as a whole?
I mean, I think code switching is a lot of times like, code switching exists. Code switching exists inside of Zoeys. You know, Simon does code switch.
Okay.
I think that whether it's subtle
Yeah.
or overt, you know what I'm saying? The way that we use language, though the way that we use language to protect ourselves. Code switching is like the embodiment, the linguistic embodiment of the movement of Black men in the white world. The movement of black man in the white world is a black body in space, just like shifting and moving through and coming to awakening of oneself in the midst of movement, right? That's happening. Code switching, in my opinion, is how do I linguistically move through spaces that may be safe or not safe and read the codes that are happening and know how to keep myself alive, um, how to survive, how to maintain, um, how to maintain some degree of power, some degree of safety. Um, and I think that it does happen. I think that what I'm learning to do is, and I have some friends who do this a lot better than I do, but I'm learning how to show up as all that I am in any space. Um, Learning that, uh, like what Mo says in the end of the episode, if you have to take away a part of yourself to be in a space, don't be in that space.
Right.
Like, and I think that's what's necessary in the stories that we want to tell, the stories that are in me to tell, the stories that we're seeing. It's like we're seeing stories told from the Black perspectives that are not um, that are not uh, neutered or gutted or like taken or tamed. Like we're seeing stories told from the Black perspective, stewarded as such, so that they have the potency that they need to have in the world. Um, and stories, I believe in the power of stories, man. Like we know what is possible based on the stories that we're told, the stories we retell. You know, there's there's such power in imagination, in seeing oneself, in creating a world that we want, and then and dissecting the world that we have. You know, yeah.
Awesome. All right. I feel like I've been hitting you with all these hard ones, all these serious stuff. Now I got to get to the good questions where or the light questions. I want to know, how is it like doing this musical? How, like, the taping, the aspect, the choreography? Like, it's one thing for you to know your lines. Do you think
Uh
that
huh.
you do choreography and all this type of stuff for epic Sado, excuse me, for a TV episode?
Yeah.
How is that?
It's exciting, man. It's exciting. It's like it's a thrill. I work with the most talented people, just like period. The most talented people. I work with them. My colleagues. I get to, I get to be choreographed by the most brilliant minds. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I get to work on music that's produced by Harvey Mason Jr. I get to tell these stories and then witness all of these other people be great. You know what I'm saying? It's exciting. We actually just shot this massive number yesterday, and I cannot wait for the world to see it. It it I watched playback. It was breathtaking. You
Wow.
know, to be a to be a part of
Right.
that. It's a gift, man, and I don't take it for granted. It's I think it's a really special space when I can go on set at any time, whether I'm called or not, walk in and see who's shooting and be inspired by their work. Like that's a gift. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
So I have this a two-part question. My first part is, which singer would you prefer to hear their thoughts sung?
Talking about like dead or alive? What you
Dead
mean?
or alive? Dead or alive?
Want to hear their thoughts sung? Um, you know what? Prince. I'd love to hear Prince's thoughts sung. Uh, let's see. Nina Simone. I
Mm,
think a lot of her music kind of are her thoughts
yeah,
sung.
yeah.
Um, uh, Joni Mitchell. Like, here's the thing, bro. This is the real thing right here. I think some of the brilliant songwriters, the way that they write, they're when you're listening to their music, you're listening to either their thoughts or their imagination sung. So it is that, you know what I'm saying? Like Leonard Cohen, Buffy St. Marie, like all of these folks, Stevie Wonder, you know what I'm saying? Like these folks.
Right.
Yes. Even, but there's this dude, Sampha. Um, he's his the texture in his tone, the vulnerability in his voice, um, the way this is the vulnerability.
Yeah.
Like to hear that sung, if I could hear his thoughts sung, that'd be incredible. Yeah.
Awesome. And the second piece, if you had Zoe's powers, whose thoughts would you like to hear?
Not a damn body.
You're not
Nah, man. See, here's the thing. I got problems with this power. Like, here's the thing. My thing is this, right? I like for people to have uh for people to choose whether or not they allow me into spaces, right? I
Right.
don't want to be responsible for something you didn't choose for me to know. You know what I'm saying? Then I gotta navigate all this other stuff. I gotta find a different moral compass. I gotta find out what the ethics are in that space.
Right.
Now, if I had Zoe's power, um, I'd try to find wherever it came from. Be like, yo, can I like bequeath this to the next person real quick? Like,
Right.
yeah. Or no, I mean, it might be what might be cool would be the that might be interesting if I could go to some kind of some kind of event
Okay.
where everybody pretends to be one way,
Oh,
and then going into the event and just chilling out and seeing what's the actual song they're singing in their heart.
interesting.
I
Interesting.
I think that would be interesting to like walk into a space where everyone says, "Oh, this is what we believe. This is the thing. This is what it is," and they
Right.
walk into that space and just like sit back and be like, "Oh, that's what it is. Okay,
Oh,
cool."
you say that, and I immediately think about this last election that we had, which it
Okay.
would be interesting to see. Oh no, I'm not voting for that person. He's bad. I'm not doing it. And then they do it. So
You,
that would be interesting.
yeah, I'm telling you, that right there. I don't know if that I like the tone of voice, but
Exactly.
like Zoe's power is very specific. She gets to hear great people sing stuff. Like
Right.
that's
Right.
what if that wasn't the case? What if the voice? There's a whole lot of things. What if the choreography was different? It wasn't bandy. What if like it was something else? It's just like a whole bunch of folks
Right.
like just walking around in circles,
Right.
singing something and you don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Right. Exactly. So what can we look forward to for the rest of the season?
Bro, it's gonna take you on a wild ride. I think that what we've been doing this season, at least what I've seen when I've read the scripts, is last season we did a deep dive, really, really deep dive into Zoey and her family, Mitch and Maggie, and that loss, which is just profoundly beautiful and heartbreaking. I think in this season, what you're also seeing is you're seeing that. You're also seeing this kind of deep dive into these specific relationships. And you've seen that in some relationships already, but I think you're going to see that in some unexpected ways in other relationships throughout. You're going to see these deep dives. You're going to see some massive music numbers that are going to knock your socks off. Um, and you're gonna see a whole lot of humanity, man. Like I think there's this the fact that we get to have both sides of this coin. It's like joy and pathos. We get to have both sides of the coin in every moment with this show is a pretty it's a gift. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And what can we look forward to from John Clarence Stewart? What else you got here?
Bro, it's a few things, man. Like I'm I'm executive producing and co-writing a movie right now that I'm gonna star in. So that's really exciting for me. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Um, so I'm working on that. I have a book
So you let
proposal
us
that
know. You know we're here to support. Once
I
you
appreciate you.
let us know. We got you.
I appreciate you, brother. Um, I just sent out a book proposal to different editors and publishers of this hybrid memoir that I've written, and uh, I'm working on some music as well. Um, there's a lot of things that I'm cooking, And I think that one of the things that I've found in this process specifically is um, a lot more of my voice as a creative and a creator,
Mm,
and the how essential it is for me to tell the stories that I want to tell.
right.
Like what my lens is, what my responsibility is, where my curiosities lie, and I have a lot of different projects that I want to do in the world. So I'm I am in progress, my dude, very much so.
That's what he said. He is working.
Absolutely,
Like that.
absolutely, man, absolutely, yes.
Perfect. Well, Mr. Stewart, thank you for taking this time out to speak with us. We definitely appreciate it. Everybody, make sure you tune in to Zoe's Extraordinary playlist. You guys are returning back Sunday at 9, right?
Yes,
I believe,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Perfect. On NBC. Make sure you guys
Yeah,
tune
bruh.
in.
My man. My
Appreciate it.
man.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, brother.